Good evening, good evening, good evening. This is the day the Lord has made. We will rejoice and be glad in it. Another day's journey. So glad about it and so grateful for your joining me for another Real Talk with Pastor Waller. I need you to know I am so excited about tonight. I'm trying not to be fanboy and all of that, but we've got two legends here to talk about what is a significant month for Philadelphia, but also a significant month for this country as we celebrate Black Music Month. We are here today with Patty Jackson. You know, she's the voice of Philadelphia, and we know her, and she's been with us before. And Patty, we're so grateful you're here. But there's also another man. I have heard his name for the whole 31 years that I've been in this city. I've watched him work behind the scenes to create stars and to also control a conversation in our community as it relates to activism. Is Mr. Charlie Mack. We thank God for you. They are here because they are both giants in the conversation about Black music in Philadelphia and Black music in America. It's Black Music Celebration Month and Awareness Month. And so I want to thank the two of you for being here. Patty Jackson, thank you. Brother Charlie Mack. And the way we want to start, I know we all know Patty unless you've been under a rock, but just remind us, Patty, who you are, and then I'm going to ask Brother Charlie just to let you all know the greatness that I'm sitting in between. Patty?
I'm a 43-year radio vet. Wow. I've been working ever since I got out of high school. I'm a South Philly native, love music, love pop culture, but love how God has using me. He ordered my steps. I was the girl Easter Sunday with the poems and the Afro Puffs and doing the call to worship on Youth Sunday. So I was always in front of a microphone, didn't realize the journey that God had me on until I became older. Then 10 years ago, I suffered a stroke and everything went except my voice. And God was like, girl, I ain't done. I'm going to get you back up. You're going to get your vision back. But my voice was never touched. And it really changed the course of my life because I know my purpose.
Yeah.
I realized what the purpose was and how he has had his hands on my voice to guide me.
Wow. Patty Jackson, we are so grateful that you're here. And behind the scenes of many influential people, behind movements in Philadelphia that bring artists to the table, but also brings the conversation about justice, is Mr. Charlie Mack. Charlie, would you please tell us what it is, who is Charlie Mack, and what do you do in the music conversation?
That's interesting that you said, who is Charlie Mack? That's the name of my book that comes out in November.
Wow.
Right? So I was asked to introduce the last final rally for Biden in 2022. They asked me to introduce him. And so for years, I always referred to myself as, we live in the city of brotherly love. I was the big brother of the city of Philadelphia. Okay. And then Barack re-monitored me, Mr. Philadelphia. So the book is called Who is Charlie Mack, ... Mr. Philadelphia. Okay. So, but that's just that. But I come from, much like Patty, born in South Philadelphia. Born in South Philadelphia on Chadwick Street.
Gotcha.
I've been in the business. My uncle started late. People with Philly. He was with the Philly Devotions. I don't know if you've ever heard of Philly Devotions. So he's with the Philly Devotion. He left that label and started his own label called April Records, 1978. Okay. So my entry into the music business was kind of a duality. It was like Kenny Gamble, right? He had did this program called Clean Up the Ghetto. In 1976, I was 11 years old. So I lived on 17th and Christian. His initiative was right there on 16th and Christian and Catherine. So he took that whole kind of like 10-block radius and took the community, and we went out there and cleaned the community up. And so with all his artists, Patti LaBelle, Billy Paul, McFadden and Whitehead. So it spawned something in me in terms of community activism, and I didn't realize, I'm talking about something 30 years later, I would do 10,000 Men that we all did together. Right. So my entry into the business was through Kenny Gamble, along with my uncle, Matt Covington, started April Records. So I was doing, as they call, street promotion. So I would take his records around to DAS, take them to, high schools and just promote them in the street. And so I got bit by the bug there at that moment. with black music in Philadelphia and Philly National in particular.
Wow, thank you for that. And let's dig into that conversation about black music, Philly International. There is a story that I tell that I'm holding on to. I believe it to be true.
Right. We're going to go with that too.
We're going to go with that.
Go with that.
I believe it to be true, but here it is. One of the last artists to record in Philly International down on Broad Street to do any music down there, I believe it to be me. Let me tell you why I believe. Craig White was the engineer.
Right.
And I had just written the song, My Praise. Now, we're going back, 15 years ago. I went in, I recorded it. I was so honored to be in there because the shag carpet and even the cigarette thing there.
The paneling on the wall.
The paneling on the wall, the whole
knobs.
deal. I felt like some combination of Pendergrass and all those guys. I recorded, I spent that time, and the next day is when the fire was. And
So you were. You were.
It literally was the next day. Wow. And what blew my mind is that my stuff did not burn up.
Wow.
My stuff. And it's the song that I'm singing today that is on this present project called My Praise.
Wow.
And so I tell it that way because that's what happened.
That's what happened.
But I love Kenny Gamble, Leon Huff, and that whole legacy.
Tom Bell.
Tom Bell. Talk to us about what it means for Philadelphia and what it means to celebrate Black Music Month.
They really ushered in a new sound. When you came out of the 60s, there was Motown, there was the British invasion, the Beach Boys. The music was different. But with Kenny Gamble, Leon Huff, and Tom Bell, the orchestration in the songs.
Wow.
So they could be hitting you up with a ballad or hitting you up with a song about what's going on now. Marvin Gaye really started something with what's going on. Oh, we don't want to talk about the war. We don't want to talk about the oppressed. But artists became more vocal. Then you had Kenny Gamble, Leon Huff, and Tom Bell. They weren't afraid.
They wasn't afraid.
They weren't afraid to talk about what is happening right now.
Yeah. For me, it gave Philadelphia, like I always talk about, music is a soundtrack to your life, right? And so Philadelphia is a very unique place, and they spoke for us. Everything that they were saying was what we were going through each and every day. So we were able to relate to it. It gave us an identity on a national level from Philadelphia, because Kenny Gamble was actually in a band as well. Initially, he was in a band. He was in a group as well.
Okay.
And then also Leon Huff in two separate bands, and they came together to actually form Gamble and Huff, and of course, Tom Bell. So to me, it was our identity. So that represented, it gave us purpose, in terms of, and like I said, substantial. She's saying, what's going on? Wake up everybody. I love that song today, still today, because it's relative to today. So yes, it spoke and gave us an identity.
And talk to us a little bit about your relationship with Philly International and what you did, what you do, what's the legacy that's left of what you do today?
So again, as I stated, my first initial kind of coming to the business of music, Black music in particular, was through Philly National. He launched this initiative called Clean Up the Ghetto. Yeah. And it's amazing because he wasn't the artist. He was the actual person that created the actual initiative, and so I was drawn to him. Not Patti LaBelle, not Billy Paul. It was Kenny Gamble. I had no idea why it was, but I looked at him as caring. I looked at him as the person I'm talking about that rolled the sleeve up and did the work. So for me, that it pulled me. It was like a magnetic pull. I didn't understand. I was 11 years old. I didn't understand why I was drawn to him, but he drew me in. And then on top of it, he did music. Right, so that was like another thing for me. So for me, it was like music and sports, and so Philly International, everything again. McFadden and Whitehead, Ain't No Stopping Us Now, Billy Paul, Me and Mrs. Jones. Those records, again, as a young kid, it just kind of it moved me through. It moved me through my life. It became the soundtrack, as I said, to my life. Yeah, everything that I was going through, OJ's, Gloria, things like that, Brandy. Again. This music is really, really important to my journey in my life. And so I, at 11 years old, decided, okay, I'm going to be active. I'm going to be responsible. I'm going to show this. I'm going to do everything in my powers to make sure that that what I do in my life counts.
Got you.
Yes.
So from your perspective, and I'm going to ask you the same question, Patty, how has the music from then to the music now, how has it changed for the good or for the worse? I notice you're in the game.
Mm-hmm.
You are helping artists. There was a social component that said these musicians and this movement and this message is going to uplift our people. It feels to some of us at this age that the message is getting lost.
That's on purpose.
Okay,
That's on purpose, right?
Talk to us.
Because once again, right, music to me, music could actually make you become conscious.
Yeah.
Right. So again, it's about like when I think about Public Enemy.
Yeah.
Right. I think about X-Clan.
Yeah.
I think about these are people that made you sit up. KRS-One. They made you sit up in your chair and think. And so now today, it seems like they're using the music to kind of dumb us down. Right. So you got the music called drill rap. It's all murder.
Right.
So I talk about, again, think about that, right? Music to me can give life and death. So yesterday was life, today it's death. And that's all you hear. The kids don't have an alternative. They only have that. And I think the thing that really bothers me is seeing grown people allow their kids, like, you couldn't curse in front of your parents. Right? So I managed a young guy, I discovered a young guy named Meek Mill. And so I would get phone calls from parents saying, I want Meek to come perform at my baby's party. Well, how old is your daughter? How old is your son? 12 years old. I said, ma'am, respectfully, I'm going to have to decline that. I said, for me as a father, responsible man, I can't bring him there because he speaks profanity on his records. I don't care. I want him to sing his record. I'm like, ma'am, what are you talking about? Like, you don't care. How you don't care about your baby? So to me, I'm saying, yes, the music today is really to kind of take us into the darker place of our lives. And for me, as a responsible adult, I'm not going to support that ever.
Got you.
Yeah.
Thank you for that. Patty, how have you seen it change, and what is your responsibility in it? Or what is our responsibility in addressing the change?
Back then,
Yep.
the stylistics, people make the world go round. We could relate. Trash man didn't get my trash today. The OJs, we got a message in our music. We have moved so far away. And in today's industry, they're not making stars. You're not going to see the big stars because they're not training them how to perform, get on the stage, get off. They have no idea what they're singing about. Why must black women be so sexualized? We're so much more than a sexual act. And it is being done deliberately because they don't want the strong black artists who sing about what's really happening in the world and how it's really affecting our community. People are chosen deliberately that they can't sing. They can't sing.
Yeah.
I'm watching the BET Awards. I said, who's going to be here to honor Jennifer Hudson? Because can't nobody sing. She's going to have to say, just give me the mic. I'll do it myself. But you just don't see that nurturing into talent. And it's sad.
Yeah, I'm feeling very sad today because I'm like, okay, where's the Luthers going to come from? Where's the Michael Jackson? I'm like, are we in an era that we actually seeing the end of great musicians? You know what I mean? Because again, it's like, I'm like, is there a Michael Jackson there? It's going to be OJs, like the OJs and the Osley Brothers, Patti LaBelle, Gladys Knight. Like, I'm like, where are they coming from? Because you don't see them. They taking Future. They're actually now in the award shows. They taking guys that do essentially melodic rap and calling them R&B artists.
Yeah,
it's disrespecting the whole art of R&B music.
Gotcha.
I actually have a deal that I'm doing with Jamie Foxx on Fox, doing a program called America's Next Soul Star, trying to re-stimulate it. Right now, yes, sir. So we're trying to do that now as we speak. Because if we don't protect our culture, it's gonna go away.
Thank you for that. And to the point, this is Black Music Celebration Month.
Yes.
So what are we doing? What are the positive things or programming that is happening this month to help us celebrate? Can you talk to us about, Patty, what you're doing, what's going on this month? How do we hold on to our heritage?
We do a music series called Gone But Not Forgotten on WDAS, where an artist may have passed on. We're never going to let you forget the legacy, the great music. Just last night, I did a big tribute to Sly Stone, who was a musical genius. He had his troubles and his problems.
Absolutely.
But he was such a musician. Will we ever see somebody like that again? We are never going to let you forget the greats that paved the way.
Got you. So now, Charlie, talk to me about, well, if it's my art and my art is a reflection of my reality, how do we give artists who are coming out of a lot of bad stuff in our community, how do we give them room to reflect their art, but also challenge them to be more redemptive in their presentation, if that makes sense?
Well, you know what? I look at everything like parent and child.
Okay.
Right? And unfortunately, record companies, Patty, I apologize before I say it, radio, they're the parents, right? And the artists are the children. And I think that they're perpetuated. They give them a platform to now reach, not Patty, but I'm talking about like radio. They give them a platform not to have to reach for their higher selves, to be responsible.
Yeah.
So their lower selves, I'm saying, they accept it, and they're perpetuating it. So they're not requiring anything from them, elevated, respectfully. Because I think the thing for me, like say BET in particular, these are high-end execs, women that went to college. These are grown women that never let a boy or a girl call them a B or MF, but they play that. They support that, right? So this year's BET Awards was a breath of fresh air because last year was Ratchet 2024. So I'm looking at this and I was embarrassed that we were there. I'm saying, and this is what's representing us. They don't represent the body. It's probably a small percentage, but the small percentage is kind of like spewing throughout the community. And so they're not made to do better, so they don't do better. You know what I mean? I say when you know better, you'll do better. It's not being perpetuated. So we as adults, we have to set the tone because they're a lost group of people that don't know, they don't even have a clue how to get there.
That's exactly right. You know, one of the things that I have found, we here at Enon, we have the Enon Music Group, and it is for gospel music. We started this label specifically to be an artist-leaning label to help young people in the independent space have an experience in the industry without the hurt. The sad reality, it feels to me that being on the back end in the gospel music genre is there's no difference in terms of the cutthroat nature of the business in the back than any other. Whether we're talking about R&B, hip hop, gospel, once you get off the stage / pulpit, the business is the business.
Because it's called the show business, right? So the business kind of overtakes. I think the most pure place you could be in is you as an artist, right? When you get into the place of somebody that you, like something that art form that God blessed you with, and for somebody to take advantage of that, it makes them disheartened. So then they're mad, you know what I mean? And so they want vindication. They want, retribution. They want, they want to take something out on someone. So they use it, that they weaponize themselves through the music a lot of times, and on you as well, you know?
So how does someone listening to this program today, because both of you are legends, literally. You are what somebody watching wants to be. So to the young man or young woman, either way, that says, you know what, I want to do what Charlie Mack does. How does that young woman get started? And I'm going to ask each of you to talk to who replaces you and how do they get started? Because we need the next Patty Jackson. We need the next Charlie Mack. And they're out there because we know the genius that is in our community. But what does that career path look like?
So as Patty said, and I don't even know, Patty can speak to this as well.
Yep.
We've both been in this business north of 40 years, right?
Right.
So it's not because of the check. We love it, right? So after, like, you got to have the passion. I don't know if the passion still exists like that today. I just don't know. So I always say people love the idea of the thing. They don't want to work for it.
Yeah.
We worked for it, right? So where, these mediums that we're on today, it allows you not to get into a car or a plane that to fly 50 different, cities. I'm saying for us and for me, we have to do that, right? We are of a society right now. We want everything quick, microwaved, and we want it for free. So again, if you don't have the passion, that's the first thing.
Okay.
You gotta be passionate about what is it. Like I'm saying, I don't like this. I love this, and I don't have nothing against nobody ever.
Yeah.
I never smoke or drink a day in my life, ever. This is my high.
Say that again.
I've never smoked or drank a day in my life, and this is my high.
Wow.
I'm high off this culture, off the music, the lifestyle, I'm saying for me, it's like, I can't imagine me doing anything else. I absolutely love the entertainment business and black music and Philadelphia music in particular. I'm talking about, it gives me oxygen, it gives me light.
Yeah.
And so if you have that passion, the thing about it is maintain it. I don't know if the world nurtures that today. I don't know. Patty can, if she contests that.
Yeah.
But that's how I feel. Me being in it at the level I'm in it, I'm saying I don't see the passion.
Gotcha.
They want the money.
You took the words out of my mouth because I have never smoked or drank in my life. The high is the work. You have to be willing to put in the work. You have to love it. I once had a boss tell me, get a job that you love. You'll never feel like you're working a day in your life.
Absolutely.
And it'll take you through the ups and downs of life. You have to want to work. You got to have a good attitude. You can't walk around, I'm a star.
Yes.
Famous. Don't touch me.
Yes.
Don't talk to me. You can't do that. You got to have a nice attitude. And how you treat people and how you make them feel will determine how far
you go. That's true.
You will go.
That's true.
You avoid some people like, here they go again.
Right.
You don't want to be that person. You want to be the person that could bring the light in whatever you do. You're right. I look forward to getting up and telling you that this is going on and that's going on. And I look forward to that every single day.
Wow. Absolutely.
Thank you for that. And for those of y'all who are thinking that Pastor Waller is going to save that same testimony, you know that ain't true. I thank God for his grace.
Yes.
But thank you for that, because it begins with passion. But what are the practical steps? Does somebody you're sitting there in high school right now and you're saying, I want to manage. I perceive that you manage people, you promote people.
Produce as well.
You produce.
Yes, sir.
So the person that's looking there and he's sitting there, he's got Logic set up in his basement and he's a producer, or he wants to do what you do, or she wants to do what you do. What's the step? What's the next step?
So the first thing I would say in terms of that is identify what your strengths are.
Okay.
Right? I don't know if you watched the TV show In Living Color, right?
Yep.
And Kim Wayans, she had this character. She had a little daughter called Little Magic.
Little Magic, yeah.
So you know about Little Magic, right?
That's right.
We want to make sure that you're not a Little Magic, right? Because I meet a lot of people that I grew up with over the years. Charlie, you got to see my son. You got to see my daughter. And then I hear them, I'm like, oh, you got Little Magic. You know what I mean? So I'm saying don't be delusional, right?
That's right.
Like really identify where your strengths are, what your skill set is. Because for me, watch this, I can't write, I can't sing, I can't rap. But what I can do, I can manage, I can nurture, I can galvanize.
Yeah.
I got great ideas. Now I'm saying I give Pastor Waller, I got a great song, great concept for you, but I can't sing it. So I'm saying identify where your strengths are.
Okay.
Right? And then at the same time, who's doing it in that field that I'm saying if you are a songwriter, Kenny Gamble's a songwriter, what was his process? Okay? Will Smith was a rapper / actor. What was his process? So kind of like, it ain't something that you're not reinventing the wheel. There's a process that already exists. There's success that already exists. That's tangible that you can see. Find out what is it that you do, and then look at somebody. I'm saying, like Kobe Bryant, I loved what he did. He looked at Michael Jordan, and he emulated Michael. They said, that's Michael Jordan all over again.
Right.
He studied the greats. That's the thing we got to do. We got to study. So before you jump in, before you put your hand on anything, get behind a microphone, study the art that you're going to get into.
That's it.
That would be my first entry into it. And then at that point in time, I'm saying, now you kind of carve out your niche of what can I offer? What can I offer to the game? This is who I am. I want to be a producer. I want to be an engineer. I want to be a writer. Okay, so find out what the greats do. Bruce Swedien, which was the engineer for Michael Jackson, right? Probably the most amazing engineer that I've ever mixed. He mixed all Michael Jackson's records.
Okay.
And he was the most amazing guy in the world. And I'm talking about, like I tell people all the time, if you want to mix and master your records, listen to Michael Jackson's records.
Got you.
Listen to those. So I'm just saying, find out what your thing is, find out who's the best at it, and then kind of find out what their process is.
Wow. Thank you for that. Now, Patty, can you talk to us about, now you do a thing at the Dell each summer. And can you tell it, because I mean, that's what we're all getting ready to now start going to.
Yes.
Can you talk to us about what happens with that as an extension of celebrating this great Black music tradition?
Going out on stage and welcoming the crowd and making them feel like this is our home.
Yeah.
The thing about the Dell that's so special, and while I fight so hard, it's our home. It's the little engine that could, because a lot of people ain't believe in it. They want to treat it like, oh, that's
Right.
in the park. We don't want to go there. But to Sue Slauson's credit, she started from the bottom and built it up. So we celebrate the artists that come through there and welcome them and let people know you can come here and have a great time.
Yeah.
Whether it's the jazz, whether it's the gospel. We got Ty Trivet coming. The R&B artists. This is your home. Come and enjoy.
Thank you for that. So now, is there, could it be argued that the Dell is our community's answer to the man?
Yes.
Yeah, and that's what it is.
Yes, it is.
And so we need to be supportive of the Dell
Yes.
as an extension. All this conversation that we're having, at the end of the day, we got to put our money, our money where our mouth is.
Yeah.
And so if you are Black and appreciate the Black music tradition in Philadelphia, that means you need to be at the Dell for something this summer.
This
Is that
summer,
a way
that's
to?
right.
And it's
Yes.
affordable too, so that's great
Yeah.
too. It's affordable. So
Yes.
and just bringing the music right to your backyard. Think about
Gotcha.
that. So these are international stars that's coming into North Philadelphia. It's pretty cool.
That's big.
Yeah.
Pretty cool. Pretty cool.
Absolutely.
If you don't mind, and I'm sure
Yeah.
Patty going to
Let's go.
support us. Yesterday, our brother Walt Reeder Jr. lost his mother, Miss Bonnie Reeder, and I just want to send my prayers out to the Reeder family.
Okay.
You know, she was very essential, and Walt is probably the premier African American booking agent, number one
Yeah.
booking agent in the world. He's right here from Philadelphia, and that's want to
Really?
send my heart and condolences out to the Reeder family. Yes.
Thank you for sharing that. You know, one of the things about Philadelphia, we have to appreciate just how much, W.B. Du Bois wrote the book 100 years ago about the Philadelphia Negro. There is so much of who Black people are throughout this United States is because of the Philadelphia Negro. And it's so much of what has happened here. There's so many firsts here, the Boulé, the Lynx. There's so many things that happen out of Philadelphia that influences Black life. Even when you think about political life in Chicago, what we think about how the politics of Black community can produce a Barack Obama, but there's some mirroring of that. You got to go back and appreciate how Philadelphia had a Wilson Good and how Philadelphia was able to marshal, and the Hardy Williams back in that day influence how other cities began to galvanize. Don't just look around, look back and realize that we live in a great city with a great legacy. And it's our responsibility now to live into that and continue to tell our own story. Particularly in this presidential administration, we're not going to get our story told by anybody else if we don't tell it and if we don't cross over the boundaries even within our own community. There was a time when there's always been a difference between the church and the street, but the message was the same at a particular time. They went at it differently, but you could hear some of the themes and some of the concerns of what is happening in the Black community, whether it was coming out of the pulpit or coming off of the stage by activist artists. We were closer at one period in time. We need to find a way to bring that back if we're going to fix what's going on in our community. I am so grateful to have had these two giants. And so what I want to do before we get out of here, is there anything I didn't ask you that you think people need to hear from you about the legacy of Black music in Philadelphia and where we are today? Charlie Mack and then Patty Jackson.
I'll let Patty go first.
We must never forget where we came from.
Yeah.
In this world of sampling, never forget who the artist that did it first. We have great artists that paved a fabulous path. Don't let these record companies and executives who don't know us, don't know our music, they're looking for the latest fad, take it away.
Yeah.
Because we stand on the shoulders of greats. Don't let people think that we're not worthy. We must honor the past to know where we're going in our future.
Patty Jackson, thank you so
powerful.
much.
That's powerful.
Charlie Mack.
I wanted to add to that they said, Kenny Gamble told me this, the message is in music. He said, he who holds the hit wears the crown. And that's just powerful to me, right? Like, and I tell any artist, they come to me, I'm like, okay, where's the hit? Right? You can make a good song, you can make a cool song, but where's the hit? And Kenny only care about the hit record. Where's that? So it starts with, it ends with a hit. A hit record could change your complete life.
Yeah.
So do your work. Don't cheat the process.
Yeah.
Because it could change your complete life for generations.
Wow.
So
thank you so much, Patty Jackson, Charlie Mack.
Thank you.
Thank those of you that are watching us today. And don't forget, this is Black Music Awareness and Appreciation Month. Let's celebrate this great musical tradition that is here in Philadelphia. I want to remind you, we'll be at church tomorrow, and it's time to come out. Don't forget, all of this comes out of the church. Our music is informed by the church. Wherever it goes, it came from here. And I want you to come and let's celebrate the God of our understanding. Let's celebrate He who was dead but is alive forevermore. I want to thank you for joining us. Let's go to God in prayer. I want to pray for both of these, Charlie Mack, and he is being a light in dark places. I want to pray for Patty because she lets us know what's going on. Being a trusted messenger in a season of post-truth America is prophetic. You got to be able to trust when you hear words that they're true. And we trust that when we hear you talk. Let's go to God in prayer. God, I love you, I bless you, and I thank you. I thank you for the great musical tradition that's here in Philly and that is in our community. I thank you for the role the church has played. And then, God, I thank you for these two giants that have taken time out to come and have a conversation with me. Thank you for Charlie Mack and his commitment behind the scenes as a developer of artists, as a promoter of great music, as a social activist who is concerned about our community, and as a link in the history of our music tradition. And then we thank you, God, for the Queen, Patty Jackson. Thank you for using her to inform us, inspire us. Thank you, God, for using her as a mirror to just how good you are as a healer and as a way maker. I pray that you would continue to bless their lives, but also, God, help them to develop the next generation. Help them to crown the next that will come, because we recognize there is no success without successors. So, God, thank you for what we've experienced. I pray for everyone under the sound of my voice. And I pray that as a result of this conversation, we will be drawn closer to you and to each other. We pray these and all other blessings in the matchless, marvelous, and majestic name of Jesus the Christ. And for his sake we do pray. Let us all say, amen. Amen. God bless you. God keep you is my prayer.